Chasing That Paper begins now right here on Vegas Insider. Kevin Rogers with you in for Joe Osborne once again. Joe's going to return on Tuesday after the Labor Day holiday, so you'll get your fix of Joe coming up next week, heading into week one of the NFL. We're actually 1 week away from the NFL kicking off next Thursday, Bills and Rams in LA, so looking forward to that. And our topic of the day, who is your survivor pick in week one of the NFL? We're going to get to that in just a little bit. And Ian McMillan, he is going to be with us momentarily from VegasInsider to go over some Major League Baseball best bets and also his survivor pick for next week in the NFL. But first, though, I want to give you a quick recap of yesterday's picks in Major League Baseball. We went 2-1. We had a winning day, finally. Red Sox a winner over the Twins. They were up 6-2 in that game. Minnesota made it 6-5 and had runners on in the ninth. But the Red Sox ended up holding off for the win, so that was a good underdog hit. And we also had the under in the A's-Nationals game following their big over the night before. So it was a 5-1 win by Washington last night. Hit that under. Unfortunately, we lost on the Jordan Lyles strikeout prop, over 3.5 at plus money at Cleveland. He pitched very well. Got the win for Baltimore, but only 2 strikeouts, and he had a lot of 2-strike counts. Just couldn't close out the Cleveland batters. So we move on to today. And with that being said, we bring on our friend Ian McMillan, betsided.com. And Ian, it's good to see you again. Before we go to the picks, you are hosting Chasing That Paper coming up tomorrow. So looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, it should be fun. We are officially 1 week away from the NFL season. Like you mentioned, it has been a long off season. A few months of baseball bets, and we got some more for tonight, but obviously very, very excited for the start of the NFL season. Next week, I'm counting down the hours.
Yes, and we'll have our survivor picks coming up in just a little bit. Our topic of the day, who is your survivor pick in week one of the NFL? It always seems very easy. We have everyone to choose from, but we'll go over that coming up in just a little. Now, Ian, time for our best bets for Major League Baseball tonight. We each have a side, we each have a total, we each have a strikeout prop. So let's begin with the first side, and I will go first. I'm going to go with the Texas Rangers this evening. They're headed to Fenway Park to battle the Red Sox, and the Rangers, they've struggled of late. They've lost 4 in a row. They lost a pair to Detroit at home. They lost twice to Houston. But the good news about the Rangers, though, is they played much better on the road of late. And when you look back at what they did at Minnesota, they took 3 of 4 in that series. They've won 4 of their past 5 on the road. And the Rangers taking on a Red Sox team. Off that victory last night against Minnesota, they return home. And Rich Hill, 7 innings, 11 Ks against the Rays his last time out. I can't expect 2 straight really good starts out of Rich Hill. And also, too, Glenn Otto, he goes for Texas this evening. He was the losing pitcher opposite Rich Hill when they faced each other in Arlington earlier this season. And actually, Otto was a short favorite in that game. Now you get him as a big underdog. I like Texas here to beat Boston. Red Sox is too inconsistent. So let's go with the Rangers as our first best bet. Ian, who do you like this afternoon? The Dodgers-Mets showdown in New York.
Yeah, big battle between 2 of the best teams in the National League. I'm going to back the Dodgers in this one as a minus 140 favorite here. Clayton Kershaw will be getting the start for the Dodgers. And while he actually is, interestingly enough, has a better ERA on the road this season, 2.83 ERA and a 1.0 whip at home, but a 2.5 ERA and a .974 whip on the road. And they get to face off against Chris Bassett of the Mets, who is a right-handed pitcher, and that is bad news for Mets backers tonight because the Dodgers are actually the best team in the National League against righties. Their OPS increases from 764 against lefties all the way up to 800 against right-handed pitchers. And for the Mets, outside of their closer, Edwin Diaz, their bullpen has struggled this season, especially in the month of August. Since August 1st, they're ranked 20th in bullpen ERA at 4.23. Meanwhile, the Dodgers during that time span ranked 2nd at 2.13. And not only that, Edwin Diaz did pitch last night, so the Trumpets may be quiet tonight. They may surpass him tonight and just rely on their weak middle relievers. So I'm going to go ahead and back the Dodgers at minus 140.
You had the live trumpet last night. It wasn't even you didn't even play the song over the loudspeaker. He had the trumpet going. Edwin came out, and a lot of pressure on Edwin Diaz there. You have him live. You got to get that save. He did for the Mets last night. Jacob deGrom pitched well. Diaz closed it out. Now we'll see what the Dodgers do today here in this finale. These two teams could meet again, probably in October. We'll see. Now, for our second best bet, Ian, we're actually on the same game, but two different bets on Rockies-Braves. They close out their series in Atlanta tonight. I'm going to go with the Rockies-Braves over this evening. The number is set at 8, and the first two games of this series, you've had a pair of 3-2 scores. Colorado won the opener 3-2. Atlanta bounced back last night with a 3-2 victory. The Braves were up 3-0 going to the ninth. And the Rockies hit a 2-run homer, so it was a run line killer if you had the Braves. But I think that the runs come back tonight. Why? Because both starting pitchers, they've seen a lot of overs of late. Chad Kuhl, 5-1 of the over his last 6. Spencer Strider gets a lot of strikeouts, but also a lot of run support for Strider, too. 6-0-1 of the over his last 7 starts. So let's keep those trends alive and go with the over of 8. Now, Ian, you also like this game, but you like one team to score plenty of runs, and I'm guessing it's going to be the home team to do so. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I am rooting for some runs tonight, but I'm just going to lean on the Braves specifically. So I'm going to take their team total over 5.5, and we can actually get it at plus money at plus 100 here, largely because Chad Kuhl, not good on the road. Usually, Rockies pitchers have Coors Field to blame for their subpar ERAs. Not the case for Chad Kuhl, because his ERA is surprisingly better at home. He's worse away from the high-altitude stadium. 4.17 ERA at home, 6.02 ERA on the road, and a 9.36 ERA since July 1st. That is not very good. And even if he does manage to survive his start, the Rockies will have to turn to their bullpen, which also can't use Coors Field as an excuse for their woes, because they are the worst road ERA bullpen in the majors at 5.21 this season. And then my final point, I'm not really saying anything surprising here. We all know this. The Braves have one of the best offenses in all of baseball. They rank second in the majors in OPS at 761 behind only the Dodgers. And since August 1st, they rank third in both batting average and OPS. So I'll take Braves team total over 5.5 tonight.
Yeah, and you got to think that these bats are going to break out tonight. I feel like Chad Kuhl had that one good start against the Dodgers at home, and past that, it's just been a lot of nothing with him. And like I said with Strider, for some reason when he takes the mound, the Braves score a lot of runs. So I do like that tonight. I think the Braves will not bounce back. They won last night, but at least get the offense going here in the final game of this series. Now, the next pick, Ian, the next game we're going to look at, Milwaukee, Arizona. We each have a strikeout prop on opposite sides in this game. And the Diamondbacks, some crazy games against Philadelphia just because they were all blowouts. They destroyed the Phillies the first 2 games. They lost 18-2 last night. Now they welcome in Milwaukee, and the Brewers still hanging around the wild card. They've had their issues. They beat the Pirates yesterday, but Brandon Woodruff, he heads to the mound this evening. I'm going to go with the plus money over 6.5 strikeouts. Now, you're asking for a lot of strikeouts against this Arizona lineup that really has not had a lot of strikeouts of late. But when we look at Woodruff, he's actually pitched well recently. 28 strikeouts his last 4 starts, including 10 against the Cubs his last time out. Also for Woodruff, 8 Ks or more in 3 road starts since July. So he's been able to rack them up. And if I'm going to get plus money on it, then I'm going to take a shot. I think Woodruff, he can deliver. I'm going to go with his over strikeouts. Now, we'll stay in the same game here, Ian. And on the Diamondbacks side, what do you like with Merrill Kelly?
Yeah, I'm going to do the opposite of what I usually do in Diamondback games. So I'm going to take Merrill Kelly over 5.5 strikeouts tonight at plus 105. As I mentioned, usually when it comes to Diamondback games for pitcher props, I take the under on their opposing pitcher. Doing the opposite tonight, taking the over on their own starting pitcher. Merrill Kelly has been fantastic in recent starts when it comes to strikeouts. He has surpassed his number in 6 of his last 7 starts, including 4 straight heading into tonight. This has led him to put up some strong numbers. Since August 1st, he has been averaging 8.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. And during that same time span, Milwaukee Brewers have been striking out all over the place. They have the 5th highest strikeout rate since August 1st, striking out on 24.4% of their plate appearances. So I'll take Merrill Kelly over 5.5 strikeouts tonight at plus money.
Yeah, and Merrill Kelly, he has pitched well for Arizona this season. Diamondbacks, in spite of what happened last night, they still played well the last week or so, swept the White Sox, took 2 of 3 from the Phillies, so we'll see what they do this weekend, facing a Milwaukee team basically in a spoiler role because Arizona's not headed to the postseason. So our baseball picks for today, looking forward to that as the calendar turns to September 1st. And we'll get to our topic of the day coming up in just a few moments, Survivor Pick. Who is your Survivor pick for week 1? But before we do that, I want to tell you about Bet365. And really good news that VegasInsider and Bet365, they've teamed up to offer new users an amazing welcome offer. Bet365 Sportsbook is offering an exclusive bonus. Customers can bet $1 and get $200 in free bets. Users must use the code NJVIP at signup and be located in a legal betting state where Bet365 is licensed. This is for new users only, and full terms and conditions apply. That is Bet365. Check them out today. All right, Ian, now that we have the NFL right around the corner, Bills-Rams next Thursday, if you take them in a Survivor pool, you're nuts. So our topic of the day is, who is your Survivor pick in week 1? Now, before I ask your team, what is your strategy when you look at a Survivor? Do you just go to Survive in advance, or do you map it out where you say, all right, I want to use the Packers in week 4. I want to use these good teams and save them later. Or you say, I don't care about week 5. I want to get through week 1. So what's your strategy on that?
No, generally, especially early in the season, because things are harder to predict, I take teams that I'm high on, teams who I think have had a strong offseason, and I try to save the obvious teams for a little bit later in the season. So you won't see me taking the Chiefs. You won't see me taking the Packers, the Bills, the Rams. I'm not going to be taking them early in the season. Instead, I'm going to be taking teams who the betting lines might not be very long, probably some short odds. But teams who I think had a strong offseason, who I'm high on heading into the year.
All right. So with that being said, Ian, who is your Survivor pick for week 1 of the NFL?
Yeah, I'm going to follow that strategy. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles for my week 1 Survivor pick over the Detroit Lions. Only spread at 3.5, 4 points, depending on where you look. But this is a team I'm very high on this year. They sneakily had one of the best defenses in the NFL last season. Their only issue was they didn't have much of a pass rush. They went out and got Jordan Davis from Georgia to hopefully help that issue. But I'm going to go ahead and fade the Lions in week 1, who are getting a little bit of a hard knocks bump. People have watched the show. They have fallen in love with Dan Campbell, and I'll admit he's very likable. He is truly a leader of men. But how good of a football coach is he? I'm not convinced he's a good one so far. So I like the Eagles in week 1. I think the Lions and their fan base are going to fall back down to earth a little bit here in the opening week of the NFL season.
The leader of men. Always love that. As long as you could lead the men, who cares if you could lead them? As long as you lead them to a win, that's all that matters. So we'll see how that turns out with Dan Campbell. And the Eagles, they went into Detroit last year. They destroyed the Lions, too. So we'll see if that's the case. A lot of people really in love with the Eagles to even win the NFC East this year, passing the Cowboys. Now, for my Survivor pick in week 1, Ian, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens, and they're in New York to take on the Jets. And I know that both of us are taking road teams week 1. They say don't take road teams in Survivor picks or Survivor pools. But you know what? Lamar Jackson, still one of the best players out there at quarterback, one of the most elusive quarterbacks in the NFL. I think he's got a lot to prove. The contract thing is hanging over his head. Also, the Ravens had so many close losses at the end of last year without Lamar Jackson at quarterback that you would think that he's in the lineup, that they're going to come out and win this game. They had that loss in the opener last year at Las Vegas. They were up 14-0 early and lost to the Raiders in overtime on national TV, so they want to come out with a better performance as well. And Marquise Brown, he is now a Raven. Also, we'll see what J.K. Dobbins can do at running back after he got hurt last year in the preseason. And the other note, too, with Zach Wilson, I mean, let's not make him out to be Joe Namath either, that he is not going to be the savior of the Jets franchise. Got a ways to go, but he's not even playing in this week 1 game because he had that knee injury against the Eagles. So you get Joe Flacco, former Raven. He led them to a Super Bowl. And I just don't really have I messed that one up. I'm sorry. Traded away Marquise Brown. I said they traded for him. Okay, that's my mistake. Okay, I can mess up one time during the show. So Zach Wilson out. Joe Flacco, former Raven, he's going to start week 1. And you know what? If we're trusting Joe Flacco to win us a game at this age, we got a lot of problems. So I'm going with the Ravens. I'm not going to overthink this. And Ian, at least my thought on going into the survivor pool is survive in advance. Find a way to get through week 1. And if I got to burn the Ravens, the Packers, the Chiefs, the Bills, if I got to burn them early, then I burn them early. And I hope to get to a point where I'm now fading some of the bad teams. That it's not even about backing the good teams, more about fading the bad teams and try to find, you're going against the Lions, who are one of the worst teams in the league, at least going into the season, the Jets, Jacksonville, some of those. So I'm going to go with that theory, that survive in advance. Let me worry about week 1, hope the Ravens win. They're done after week 1. If I advance to week 2, fine. But I'm not going to try to be cute, so that's my strategy.
Yeah, and the Jets are kind of the Lions of the AFC, a team that a lot of people are kind of high on this offseason, and I don't really see why. Zach Wilson had a terrible rookie year. Yeah, they had a decent draft, maybe, if those picks work out. But yeah, Jets certainly a team that people are kind of high on this year, and I don't really get it. So I like the move fading them in week 1.
Yeah, so we'll see how this turns out with the survivor picks. We have the Colts. That's another one that's going to be popular at Houston. The Colts have been terrible in openers. I'll give you this number, Ian. I wrote it down here. 1-10, the Colts are in their last 11 season openers. So we'll see how that turns out with Matt Ryan. 6th different starting quarterback they've had in the last 6 years in week 1. So Matt Ryan now there in Indianapolis. So that's one to look at. I just hope that people don't go the Packers route. You know what's going to be a popular one, too? Is going to be the Broncos on Monday night against Seattle. That's going to be one you're going to be like, Going against Seattle, for as bad as they look, now with Russell Wilson with the Broncos, he just signed a big extension today. But really quick on that game, what was your second choice past the Eagles-Lions? Who would you have taken if it wasn't the Eagles?
The team that you just brought up, I was looking hard and long at the Indianapolis Colts with my boy Matty Ice. I've already ranted about them before on the show, but I think the Colts are going to be fantastic this year. Yeah, what'd you say, 1-10 in their last 11 season openers? But in those 11 games, they did once have former MVP, future NFL Hall of Famer Matt Ryan under center. So I looked at them long and hard, but divisional games week 1 make me a little bit nervous. I did kind of like Davis Mills last year, surprisingly enough. So I ended up going with the Eagles instead, but I think the Colts might be one of the biggest locks of the opening week.
Yeah, I'm looking at all these games, and there's just not a lot of teams I have faith in it. I just get scared off by some of them, like Denver going to Seattle, Russell Wilson going back to his home stadium. But again, that means you have to trust Geno Smith to win you a game. So that one is tough. Also, Kansas City, don't want to burn them at Arizona. I think that's a tough spot. Another one, too, I think that's interesting is the Titans against the Giants, that the Titans will be a very public play. I don't know why I think the Giants have a shot in that game. I really do. I feel like that number's come down a little bit, that the Giants could have a chance to cover, even maybe beat the Titans in week 1. So there's a couple games. I don't think it's as obvious, Ian, with 5 or 6 games. I feel like there's only about 3 or 4 of them to look at. So Ian has the Eagles as his survivor pool pick for week 1 against Detroit. I have the Ravens against the Jets. That's our topic of the day. Who do you like for the survivor pick in week 1? And don't be cute. Just take the winner, move on to week 2. So, Ian, good to have you on the show once again. And tomorrow, since I'm out, it's going to be you and Steffi Smalls taking the wheel.
Very excited for that. Should be fun.
And so it should be a good time. So check out Chasing That Paper tomorrow. Ian will be back with Steffi Smalls as they will host the show for Joe Osborne. Then you'll be back on next week with Joe. And you guys will be back in your normal banter next week. So Ian McMillan, you could find him at BetSided. Ian, thank you so much for the time, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Take care. Best of luck with your bets tonight. And, let's hit some winners. All
right, sounds good. That is Ian McMillan, always a big part here of Chasing That Paper. here on Vegas Insider. So check out the show tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern as Ian and Steffi Smalls will be co-hosting, and a lot of football talk, I'm sure. And I know we didn't hit a lot of college football, but still a decent amount of games tonight in college football, highlighted by Penn State and Purdue. Penn State, they are a short favorite on the road. And Penn State, third straight year, actually, they're starting on the road against a Big Ten opponent, where they went to Indiana 2 years ago, lost in overtime, and then beat Wisconsin last year in the opener as a dog. Now they're laying points against Purdue. And as far as the other FBS games, Ball State and Tennessee. Tennessee, a heavy favorite there, laying 35.5. West Virginia and Pitt, the backyard brawl is back, and the Panthers a 7.5-point favorite at home against the Mountaineers. Louisiana Tech and Mizzou. Tigers a 20.5-point favorite at home. Also, you have New Mexico State and Minnesota. Rode that boat with PJ Fleck. Minnesota's a 36.5-point favorite. And Central Michigan goes to Oklahoma State tonight to Stillwater. Oklahoma State, a 3-touchdown favorite against Central Michigan. So that's the look at the games tonight in college football. And no NFL this weekend, but get your sleep, get ready, because the NFL is back coming up next Thursday with the Bills and the Rams. And you can check out all of our NFL team previews. They're almost finished. Got a few teams left. You check it out on our YouTube channel at Vegas Insider TV. Joe Osborne and I covering the NFL and also the college football team previews. Those are all wrapped up. And I have those also on our YouTube channel at Vegas Insider TV. So you can find all of those there and get ready for the season. And you got some best bets from both of us on all those teams that if you're interested in any futures, then you can look there to find them. Don't forget tonight, too, Down to the Wire is back at 6 o'clock Eastern right here on our YouTube channel at Vegas Insider TV. I am normally the host of it, so if you're looking for Joe on this show, I normally host that show at night. And tonight, it is Tom Carroll and Tom Cunningham. The Toms are back this evening, and they're going to look at the college football slate, as well as some baseball and some other things. U.S. Open continuing as well. Serena Williams, she pulled the upset last night, and she advanced at the U.S. Open in New York. So they'll be talking a lot about that as well. So find that at 6 o'clock on our YouTube channel at Vegas Insider TV. My thanks to Ian McMillan for joining us. He'll be on with Steffi Smalls tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern for Chasing That Paper. I am Kevin Rogers. Thanks a lot for watching. And as always, best of luck with your bets.